Catholic News Roundup is brought to you in part by PewSitter.com, your online Catholic newspaper for the third millennium, CatholicMediaCoalition.org, in line with the Church, online with the world.
And TheAmericanCatholic.com, politics and culture from a Catholic perspective.
Hello and welcome to today's edition of Catholic News Roundup. I'm Matthew McAuliffe. Catholics for Obamacare. With Obamacare losing traction in courts across America, the Catholic Health Association has stepped in to try to spin it positive in the eyes of Catholics. In her statement, Sister Carol Keehan, chief executive of the organization, praises the so-called Patient Protection and Affordable Care Act in agreement with her public endorsement of the legislation when it was voted in last March, despite objections of the United States Conference of Catholic Bishops. She claims the legislation has helped millions already, but her press release ignores recent White House statements pushing contraception as a forced part of the plan. Keehan says, quote, "The CHA encourages lawmakers to support these common-sense reforms that expand coverage and access while improving families' health and financial situations," end quote. We encourage you to take a look at the Catholic Health Association's full statement on our resource page by clicking the link right over here. Meanwhile, Obamacare takes another hit in federal courts with another forced care failure. Another case has come to court questioning Obama's right to force Americans to purchase health care, and one more federal judge is calling the requirement unconstitutional. Federal Judge Christopher Connor of Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, is ruling in favor of his plaintiffs, a couple who don't have health insurance but didn't want to face penalties in 2014 when the demand takes effect. Connor ruled that, quote, "The power to regulate interstate commerce does not include the power to dictate a lifetime of buying health insurance," end quote. The mandate, which has been the subject of over 30 lawsuits nationwide, is expected to be a Supreme Court case when reconvening later this fall. D.C. abortion battle. Debates are reigniting in Washington, D.C. this week over whether or not the district will continue to ban taxpayer dollars from funding abortion. The ban was put in place several months ago, but now the fight begins to keep the ban as law. Although the House of Representatives' final version of the bill still contains the ban, abortion activists are trying to influence the Senate to reject it. Pro-life lobbyists are working hard to keep the ban in place, and you can find more information on how to contact senators in Washington about the issue by clicking the link right outside the screen. Stay with us. We'll be back in just a few seconds.
Catholic News Roundup is brought to you in part by NewOxfordReview.org, the voice of Catholic Orthodoxy, in print and on the web, and RenewAmerica.com, expanding the influence of America's grassroots in the cause of freedom.
Canadian infanticide. A woman in Alberta, Canada, who strangled her newborn child to death has been allowed to walk after a judge in appeals court said that laws in the country suggest that Canadians, quote, sympathize with the mother. Justice Joanne Viet of the Queen's Bench says, quote, naturally, Canadians are grieved by infants' death, especially at the hands of infants' mother, but Canadians also grieve for the mother, end quote. Evidence in the case even shows that Katrina Effort's action was premeditative, trying to miscarry her child by smoking and drinking regularly during pregnancy before she tossed the body of her dead infants over a fence in her backyard. Effort was 19 when she had her child in April of 2005, excused of her actions by a court that says she was, quote, alone and unsupported when she had her child in the basement of her parents' home. Eyewitnesses in the court say that Effort was covering her face to cameras as she was leaving the courtroom last week. Tyranny of Relativism. Pope Benedict XVI encouraged Americans to fight the evils of moral relativism during his visit to America, and a new website in New York City does a great job of highlighting the enemy. FaithStreet.com is a new website built to help New Yorkers connect with a church that fits their so-called personal needs so that they can find a church custom-made for their self-absorbed lifestyle. Blaze.com uses the words, quote, individual specifications to describe the goal of finding a church in the busy city. FaithStreet.com's growing success in the Big Apple is yet another indicator of what religious statistics expert George Barna said in USA Today earlier this week, that, quote, America is headed for 310 million people with 310 million religions. I'm Matthew McAuliffe. Thanks for tuning in. Be sure and tune in tomorrow for your daily dose of Catholic News Roundup right here on RealCatholicTV.com. And be sure to check out The Vortex today, where Michael talks about the Society of St. Pius X and the Great Restoration in the Church. Thanks for tuning in. Be sure to tell all your friends about us. And as always, God bless you.